Welcome, everybody, to the Wonk Podcast. It's your boy TK. This week we got Rick Glassman. You know him from Adam Devine's House Party, Undateable, and A Futile and Stupid Gesture. He's an actor, comedian, and director.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Growing up in Cleveland, I get what you're asking me, but like I don't know. Everybody grew up where they grew up.
Yeah. Everybody grew up where they grew up. So, like, you didn't appreciate your basketball court.
I didn't play basketball until I didn't play basketball until 10th grade. So here's the deal. I grew up and I was a hyper kid, and I just was like it was just a weird kind of kid in a way where I was friends with other weird kids, and I always thought like I'm a nice dude. Like I see these kids don't have that many friends. I'm kicking it with them. And it wasn't until literally like in my 30s that I realized, oh, I was one of the weird kids. I didn't know it then. They all knew it. I didn't know it.
Wow.
I thought I'm the man. I had no idea I wasn't the man. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I had some trouble in school. I had learning disabilities, and I had special classes. And then in 8th grade, long story short, I ended up not being in class anymore. I was in this one class the whole day, and it was with some kids that just had that were troubled kids. Now, also, I thought I was the man, and I didn't realize I was a weirdo. I also didn't think I was a troubled kid. Maybe I was, but now looking back, they said that I burned myself with cigarettes and I stabbed myself, and to this day I've never smoked a cigarette. Tough actin' Tinactin. It's kind of like we were on set. You had the canned air when you turn it upside down and you spray it and mist comes out. I had a little circle from the day before from this athlete's foot spray that my brother used or someone used. Anyway, so then I had to go to this special school because I didn't like this anymore. And if you wanted to go back to school, you have to go to this school and graduate from this. It was called PEP, Positive Education Program, right? So in 9th grade, I'm at this special school with tough kids. In every classroom, there was a teacher, an assistant teacher, and a restrainer. Gomez was our restrainer. For when kids got out of line or ran out or jumped out the windows or something, these restrainers would grab them and hold them on the ground. It was like, get the fuck, it was like crazy stuff. And there they played basketball, and I played basketball in my khaki cargos, and I felt a sense of connection that I never felt before, even with guys that I'm not friends with in a sport that I don't know how to play, which is just, we all are. It was the first time that I experienced being on the same page with someone and maybe even being right about that. We want to score. We want to stop them from scoring. It was as simple as that. And I just became so attracted to the connection of it that I wanted to get good at it. I wanted people to want me to score, to stop other people from scoring. And I kind of got really addicted to basketball. Basketball changed my life because it made me feel confident for the first time ever and connected to friends, teammates, however I felt about them, in a way that was stronger than it was before. So
this is all throughout high school.
This is I left PEP in the middle of 9th grade. I was so embarrassed. I went back to school. Where were you? And I just made excuses. I was just trying another school for a little bit. I didn't want to say I was at the school for bad kids who jumped out windows, who are idiots.
Yeah.
You know? So I came back, and then I tried out for the basketball team, and I was not good. And Ship Collings kept me on the basketball team. He said, you're not going to play much. And I didn't give a shit. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a jersey. Incidentally, I didn't have an away jersey.
Oh.
They couldn't afford one or what.
You just wore a white shirt or something? Or
I just
colored shirt?
I wore no, I didn't play on away games. I wore a shirt and tie to the away games, and the home games I wore the home jersey, and I still didn't play.
Did basketball give you the confidence to start doing stand-up, or when did you start doing stand-up?
Started doing stand-up in March of 2007, right after I graduated college.
Oh, college. Tell me about college.
Dude, you wouldn't believe me.
Where'd you go to college?
Kent State.
Kent State?
Yeah.
How's that?
Dude.
It's the best. Are we on your podcast right now?
What do you mean?
Are we on the first episode right now?
Oh, thanks for the shout out. You guys check out my podcast, the first episode podcast.
Yeah, he did a podcast from college. So
yeah, I did about 500 first episodes of podcasts with a friend of mine trying to find the right podcast, and we never figured it out. So now I'm just posting them all from the past 25 years. The first episode podcast. Rick Glassman.
He winked at me. It's good.
Yeah, college was crazy, man.
What in college made you want to transfer from basketball to transfer the energy from basketball?
Well, I
to
didn't.
stand-up?
Basketball was my life still. I mean, I'm literally at the gym 7 hours a day.
With the goal of what?
I don't think I realized it at the moment, but it was I was good at something and I had value to people. At least that's how I perceived it. I was valuable to other people in my mind for the first time ever. So I'm now I'm learning what it feels like to not be insecure about how other people feel about me. Yeah. Whether I was right or wrong doesn't matter because it's all made up and changes minute to minute anyway. Yeah. But it got to so I was addicted to being valuable, even if I wasn't. Just the idea, feeling that way. Within that, I opened myself up to being outside of myself more, thinking about, does this person, should I not? How do I say this? I used to, because I never know how people feel, and I would always ask questions. Even the questions would oftentimes be misunderstood as aggressive or silly or making fun. It's like, no, why did you look at me that way? What did that, like, I don't know what that meant. I didn't know what so many things meant. So then I got to a point where I'm not thinking about that, and by that now I'm realizing, one, how I'm not the only person, like, in an ignorantly and kind, selfish way. I was very self-involved. And then when I realized how other people are self-involved in their own ways, it just became super interesting to me. And I would make observations outside of myself. And then that became kind of really exciting to find patterns that way. And I would always write stuff down, and not necessarily funny, just, oh, that's funny. I never noticed that type of thing, like interesting things to me. And then I had just all these ideas. So I started doing stand-up.
When was the move to LA?
So I graduated college in December of 2016. Started doing stand-up in the beginning of 17.
In Cleveland?
In Cleveland, as well as got my real estate license. Oh, sold real estate for a year. Lived at home with my parents. Sold 2 houses. Made $6,000 in a year. And
cool.
Moved to Los Angeles. I thought I would maybe do real estate in California because of how much houses are out there. So I'm like, you know what? I think I'll save up a little money. I'll get some real estate experience in Cleveland before I move out there next year. I moved out here because I wanted to be an actor, not necessarily a comedian. Uh-huh. Lived with my aunt for the first 3 months. Okay. And then I got a place with a guy I met online.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how are you paying the bills back then?
So I had about $10,000. And when I moved, I started doing background work, extra work.
Right away.
Found it on Central Casting and Craigslist and stuff. And I actually met one of my best friends, John DeWalt, who I do my podcast with, doing background on Angels and Demons a month after I moved out here. And that was enough to pay the bills. And then a couple years later, when you do background work, you don't know your hours. You could be working 8 hours. You could be working 16. I don't know when I'm getting off. It would get in the way of my stand-up. I needed to keep my evenings open because that's what I wanted to do. So I started doing that less and less, and replaced it with a table waiting job. Okay. Waited tables at this very nice restaurant in Encino, a steakhouse. Didn't have any waiting experience, and they didn't have any positions. And for whatever reason, when I was looking for places, I liked this place. The menu looked like, this menu was expensive. It was close enough to me. White tablecloths. It just looked nice. I want to work here. Yeah. So I decided that's where I want to work. They weren't hiring, so I called the manager every Wednesday afternoon for 3 months, asking if they have anything, even to like a hosting position. After like 3-4 weeks, the pattern was already established where he expected it and knew it. So it wasn't like a long conversation. It would just be like, just calling, seeing what's going on. If you need any help, if you need help anything around your house, washing your car or whatever, I'll call you next Wednesday. He would laugh and call Wednesday. Hey man, just want to let you know I can't come in today, but I'll call you next week. Just simple little things. And after a few months, he goes, listen, man, why don't you just come in? And I was at Expo for a year, and then I got to wait tables, and I never waited tables, and it's like a really nice place, and nobody knew that. And then before you're allowed to wait tables, you have to wait on the owner, who I didn't really know, and I was so nervous around. And I remember that when it was my test thing, it was the first time I was a waiter, was just waiting on him and his family. Like there was like 8 of them, like kids,
Oh, wow.
and it was just like intimidating as shit. And I don't know the wine list. I don't drink. I don't know anything. I didn't know how to. I didn't even think to learn it because I'm an idiot. You know what? I'm not an idiot.
No, you're good.
Thanks. I got to stop talking about myself like that.
You're good. It was hard. It was hard.
And I said, "What would you like to drink?" And he said, "What would you recommend?" And I didn't know what to say, so I said, "The House Pinot Noir is very good," which is such a cop out. The House Pinot Noir. What does that mean?
The cheapest thing on the menu.
And he goes, "And what is that?" And I picked up the wine list that was right in front of him, and he closed the book. And I said, and then he goes, "Oh, right, first." Before I offered him wine, I got so nervous. I said, "Would you like anything to drink? A wine or a lemonade?"
A wine or a lemonade.
I offered him wine or a lemonade. And he goes, "What wine would you recommend?" And I said, "The House Pinot Noir." I even said it with a question mark, you know? And then when I went to see what it was, he closed the book on me. And then he goes, "I'll have the lemonade." And I don't know if I audibly did it, but I think I said,
What came first? Did Undateable come first, or did Adam Devine's house party come first?
Undateable. The boss of the show, he's Bill Lawrence. He created Scrubs and Spin City and Cougar Town, and I was a huge fan of Scrubs, and he was in the audience for a show
At Comedy Club.
the Improv, Hollywood Improv.
Okay.
And then after the show, we talked, and he said to me, which I know he meant as a compliment. He said, "I was laughing so hard." He emphasized the I, not the laughing. Right. And then he said, "I really like how comfortable you are in uncomfortable moments." And it's like, I guess that's nice. Why? Was it uncomfortable? You know, I didn't feel it was an uncomfortable moment. And then he talked about basketball, and the same way I got my waiter job, I got into that basketball game. I just emailed his assistant every week for like 2 months, and then she's like, "Oh, we have some spots." So me and my buddy Brent, who met with Bill before even I did.
Did he get seen from that same show?
So Bill and Brent met each other, and Brent invited him out to a show that I was coincidentally on. So we all like met that day. And then we went and played basketball with him, and then we played ball for a few months, and then he sent us an email. At the time, I didn't even have an agent. He said, "Hey, do you want to audition for this show?" And I said, "How much will it pay?" No, I'm just kidding. I said, "Yeah, thanks." And it was great, man. I went through the audition. So the way it works, I don't know, you know, but the way it works for doing a show for a network or is if the network and the studio aren't owned by the same people, especially. For example, Universal and NBC are the same. Mm-hmm. This was Warner Brothers. So you go through the audition process. You audition for the casting directors, then you go in for the producers, and if they like you, then you test in front of the studio. The studio has to say okay. If the studio says okay, then the network has to say okay. There's like so many rounds. And Bill had set it up that nobody else tested for my role. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it. It just means they're not comparing it to anybody else.
Yeah.
Which is cool that he was able to do because he's kind of like people trust him. He's got a good track record. So I always remember that he like took care of me.
Yeah.
Like he was just really nice to me.
Because you had no experience before this show. It was just stand-up, right?
Yeah.
And background work.
Yeah. And John and I did sketches. We did 2 a month for a while.
John DeWalt.
Yeah, that guy and his friend. We used to do videos all the time.
Dope.
But yeah, I didn't have any real experience. And he gave me my first job. And if it weren't for stand-up, that wouldn't have happened. And I have a hard time understanding, how do you get jobs if you don't do stand-up? Are you going to go into a room and you're going to read some words in front of a person without a real scene?
I don't know.
Yeah, it just feels like stand-up.
You can't be 100% unless you're stand-up. Like if you're reading someone else's words, it's that you just read, it's going to be 50% of whatever you can give. Stand-up, you're giving 100% of Glassman.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of. I mean, you could give, but it's still, it's an audition room is just, art is just inherently artificial. You know, even it's like doing space work at an improv show. It's like, you know he's not really holding a phone. It's like, you're doing the best you could give.
Yeah.
But the other person isn't giving you anything.
No.
You're not really there. You can't move around. Yeah, it's just, auditioning is just artificial. I don't mind it at all. It's just, you can't really, you can't showcase yourself the same.
No.
My opinion.
Yeah. Chris D'Elia was already part of that show. Like, it was built around him, right?
No, Brent and I were the first two people cast on it. And and then Bill knew that we were friends and wanted to cast other comedians and other friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys were the first two,
Mm-hmm.
but Chris D'Elia became the star of the show.
Well, the role was the starting role. Like, he did it, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like we became the first two and then it's like, yeah, like when I booked it, I was already like, I knew I wasn't the lead of it. You know what I mean?
You're the sixth lead.
That's right. Sixthlead.com. And so they were still looking for that one missing piece, and they found it in Superstar. Hilarious, Eminem impersonating, cool G-Star jacket wearing Chris D'Elia.
Oh, I wanted one more adjective.
Sure. Looks like a bird.
There we go.
Chris D'Elia.
How did you start sixth lead? Like, how did that spark come about from Undateable?
The Sixth Lead is a web series I made that was inspired by the fact that I was the sixth lead on the show, the sixth on the call sheet, the sixth most important person on the show. And I had some hard times on the show at times with my ego of like, I want to be doing more. I want to be saying more.
Legitimately.
Yes. But I knew, I mean, this is what it is. It's nothing personal. It's the character I played role on the show was what all shows, but especially multicams have, is just this one guy that does these little things, and that's what it is.
There's only so many words that can happen.
So I knew there was nothing going to happen, but it just felt like, how do I want to talk to Bill, the boss, you know, so I had a meeting with him and I said, listen, I know that you've had 50 shows and you always had somebody on a show that felt the way that I do. And I'm sure it never changed. So I'm not looking for anything from you. I just want to say some things so I feel like I did everything I could. And then the meeting was just funny. And incidentally, we went on an Undateable tour a couple of years. With me, Ron Funches, Chris D'Elia, Brent Morin were the 4 stand-up comics on the show. Mm-hmm. We went on these tours around the country to help promote it. It was awesome. And on the tour a year or two previous, I told Bill about this idea of like, I want to film a Curb Your Enthusiasm-esque where I play a version of myself, guy that wants more stuff. And then after the meeting I had with Bill, we were laughing, and he said, you know, do you still want to do that thing? He remembered it. Just like one like web video. And I said, yeah, but I wanted certain things for it. I remember they only had one camera, and I said, I'll pay for it. I just want 2 cameras. I have an idea for what this is. And there was like a little bit of fighting back and forth for getting this. And they said, fine. They gave me 2 cameras, and I said I want to tape the table read first. So the network table read, we actually recorded it. So I'm in character doing it. So like the faces and some of the stuff I'm saying in front of the network that has no idea what's going on, I'm like doing for the cameras.
And you're directing your camera.
Yeah. Well, beforehand, I told him one stays on me and one follow the action. I mean, just not much to direct for that. Then I had a meeting with Bill, and I had it scripted out, beat sheet and everything. And then we recorded it, and after editing it, Bill liked it, and I'm really proud of it. It was really funny, and he said that if I wanted to, I could do some more. So I ended up doing. I have 2 days, so however many I could do in 2 days. I had 6 written, but I did 4. I cut 1 and I combined 2. Uh-huh. So I did 4 more episodes, totaling 5 in 2 days, and it was great. It was awesome.
You got a lot of stars for that.
Yeah, well, everyone played themselves. I had the Warner Brother lot.
Sam Richardson.
Yeah, who's hilarious.
And Zach Braff.
Yeah. Zach was the star of Bill's other show, Scrubs. So I thought it'd be fun to have a conversation with the metaphoric first verse sixth lead, you know what I mean? Or the literal one, I guess. And they just it was great. Like they shut down a couple of streets on the Warner Brothers lot for me. They built stages. I remember there was a sound check that One Direction was doing, and we were still filming, and it was getting in the way of it. And I was like, hey, we need to have them stop. I have another 45 minutes. And they call them and they have them stop. And then I realized, like, this is awesome. Wow. Yeah, this is really cool. And it's just this show about a guy who doesn't have enough lines on the show, and he's not aware enough to know, how to handle it. And incidentally, within it, I play this guy who pitches jokes to Bill, and I'm really good with acronyms, IRGWAs, like that. I have this ability to say take sentences and turn them into acronyms real fast. It's just a little silly parlor trick I do.
Yeah.
And in one of the episodes, I pitched that to Bill, like I could do this. I should be this. And all these things that are jokes, because that's not funny on a show.
No.
But it was funny within the sixth lead. Contextually, here's this guy that thinks this is funny, so then those things became funny. So then there were episodes of the actual show Undateable where they wrote those jokes in for my character. And I had a joke where I do acronyms, IHAJWIDAs. You know what I mean? Like that. But who cares? It doesn't seem like it's real time because it's scripted. So I say to Bill, listen, man, that's so funny that you put this in here. And I want to have more stuff, but I'm just going to pass on this. This is not going to work. This isn't funny. This is like, and he goes, no, I'm telling you, do it the way you did it. It's funny. I go, okay. And it bombed. And it was just like, Jesus, I wanted stuff. So I created the show to express how much I wanted. And it actually worked.
Yeah.
But they gave me the stuff that I'm making fun of, not that I really wanted to do. So I just thought that was really funny. So if you watch the sixth lead timed up with some of these stuff, everything became real. Oh, that's the joke he pitched to him. They did it on the actual show. Like Jewish Wolverine. There was an episode, for the Halloween episode, I played Jewish Wolverine.
Yeah.
Because I said, I want people to know I'm Jewish. I want to be like a superhero like Wolverine, and they made me a Jewish Wolverine. And it's like, I had this, the sixth lead made that happen. This fake thing about me pitching to the boss became real. So the whole thing seems real. So the way it ends is I just get shit on. And then I got all these tweets of like, dude, I'm so sorry that sucked, because it seems so real. Yeah. But even at the end, it says written and directed by Rick Glassman. Yeah. It's not a real thing. But I always find that funny when people think things are real.
Yeah.
I once heard, so I did a movie with Seth Green, and I am a fan of Seth Green's. He's great with a lot of things, but incidentally, I'm just a huge Entourage fan, know? And he was in Entourage, and he plays this asshole in Entourage. And we were talking about it because I love Entourage. I just think it's funny on so many levels.
Yeah.
And he told me how it affected him and the way people saw him in the business, because he played Seth Green, this asshole. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life. At first, I'm like, is this real? And then I realized, oh my God, it is. He's just crazy nice. This nerdy guy who knows all about this submersive world of like board games, card games, cartoons. He's just awesome. He plays this mean guy on Entourage, and he said people thought that was me. I still go into places where people think that's me. And it's like, it's a television show. Yeah. That's crazy. So I just think that's funny. Yeah, that like, if you play yourself, people are going to think it's that.
You do a good job playing yourself.
What do you mean?
Well, you have to do a good job of playing yourself.
Right, but I'm saying, what if yourself is, you're playing
a
bad guy?
A good job of playing a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because if he was shitty at acting mean to Vinny Chase, they wouldn't believe that he's actually a mean guy.
Yeah, so they would think maybe he's not as good of an actor, but he's nicer.
And your shit was hella meta, too, so that shit was happening to you.
Yeah, it was definitely inspired.
Yeah. Was there a budget on that, or was it just the equipment that they let you use?
So it was technically a commercial for Undateable. That's the way they did it. So it just came out of the Undateable budget. And relatively speaking, when you're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars per episode, and there's leeway here and there. So yeah, I had the costume department, we used the Undateable, and the prop department, the set design. That's what I was saying. It was so cool because I had done sketches with John where I'm having him stand in for me. I put it on the tripod. We shoot his stuff, my stuff, the lighting. It's just, we talked about it on the way over here. When you're producing your own stuff, even on a very, very low scale, it often cannibalizes the creative energy you have. So it's just like, oh, this is such a pain in the ass. Here I am now on this set where they built this coffee shop. I said I want tables with umbrellas. I told them what I want the sign to say, how many extras I wanted. On the basketball court stuff, I would need extras. And it all happened. It was like, whoa.
Anything. Like, they never said no to really anything.
Well, I didn't ask for crazy stuff.
Yeah, but
they said no. One thing they said no to, which ultimately they gave me, was I wanted to walk by, for one of them, a poster of Scrubs. I wanted to walk so I could. There's a poster of Scrubs and a poster of Undateable. I had to make a poster of Undateable that had, that only had a few. I wasn't on the poster, so I wanted to walk by the poster of Scrubs and then walk by the poster of Undateable, and I was just like, ugh. But Disney owned Scrubs.
Okay.
So like, well, it's gonna cost blah 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 blah, and I'm like, come on, that was the only thing. And they're like, okay.
It's awesome. You went to film festivals for it, right?
Yeah, it won best short and a couple things. Local festivals, but like festivals I had gone to before to just watch stuff. It was cool, and I didn't even it's 30 minutes total, all 5 episodes together. So I compiled them into chapters and made it as if it was a short film. Yeah, it's the thing I'm most proud of because it's something I really wanted to do, and for better or worse, it came out exactly how I wanted it. And I was like, oh wow, I could make something. And that's, I've always wanted, I just like directing, you and I talked about this before, has become kind of like the new dream.
Yeah, the next mountain to climb.
The next. How about the first?
September 22nd, Magical to Radical from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. 1720 East 16th Street, Los Angeles. It's going down. It's the party of all parties. We got Uncle Blazer, a.k.a. Blake Anderson, DJing. We got Paz. We got Damn Ham Boys. We got Fade Up, Fade Out, Bye Bye. We got Dumb Bitches with Internet, Distractor, and Samira Winter. Look for that special guest headliner. If you are 18 or over, get there and let's party.
Stand-up's so hard. I started doing stand-up 11 years ago, and my class of comedians, a lot of comedians refer to as a class of like when you kind of start, you come up together. Chris Rock, Seinfeld, not only they're friends, but they're in the same class type of thing for perspective.
Like the late 80s or whatever.
Yeah, it's usually like if you guys started out around the same time within a couple of years, like you guys go through the open mic circuit together, you get your first jobs together, etc.
Who was in yours?
Andrew Santino. Brent, he started a little before me, but like close enough. Brent, Gerard Carmichael.
Yeah.
D'Elia was like the one before me. I remember I started watching. When I was around, I was like, wow, this guy's awesome. He was like the senior when I'm the freshman type of thing.
He was like with Divine. I think that's his class.
No, Divine is more my class.
Yeah.
Yeah. I incidentally met Divine in a UCB, an Upright Citizens Brigade improv class, right when I think Workaholics was either they just shot the pilot or it was picked up the series, but it was around that time. So when I started doing stand-up, I always felt that I have the funniest friends in the world. But like, none of us are working, but like I know it. I know we're the and as we've moved on, it's like, oh yeah, my friends are some of the funniest people in the world. The point I'm making is a lot of my friends have, stand-up specifically, have hit milestones that years ago that I still have not hit. They've, whether it's the special or the touring a certain amount, and et cetera. And I bring that up because and I'm very aware of this, I haven't figured out how to do stand-up. I still haven't figured out how to do stand-up. It's so hard. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's supposed to be. And I don't mean that outside of myself. I mean that with me. I don't know how I'm supposed to do this.
What your voice is supposed to be.
I know what my voice is. Yeah. Well, what is it supposed to be?
I don't know. What is it marketable? Is that what you're getting at?
That's way more advanced than what I'm getting at. I'm not even at the place where I could decide how to sell it. I don't even know what it is. I know what I am. I know why I think it's funny. It's not stand-up. It's not stand-up what I do. I'm being a little self-deprecating maybe just because it's like if someone were to say, tell me what kind of stand-up, tell me how you do this, tell me a joke. It's like, I don't know, man. Just you kind of have to see it.
Yeah.
And I just love it so much.
You know you're supposed to be on stage. It's an obvious thing, but you can't.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be on stage.
I think you are 100% supposed to be on stage.
It's interesting how that triggers me in a way that I have to that I have been trying to figure out. I don't like the idea, maybe because I am so big in so many situations where I know I'm perceived as this guy that needs attention, which I'm sure is true. But on a more surface level, I just fucking love doing bits. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love joking around. Yeah. I'm not trying to be the only guy doing it, but I come in hot and people are like, okay, enough. Do jokes with me.
Yeah.
So I think I'm sensitive to the impression of like, oh, you want attention. So I think maybe like when you say you should be on stage, I don't. I think I feel embarrassed about that statement. So I'm just kind of realizing that in the moment. I love bits and creating bits, whether it's on stage or whether we're writing something and talking about how to do it or executing it. Going on stage is easy. You just go and do it. Setting up a production is difficult.
Yeah.
So because of that, it's like if my favorite, if I love golfing, but I can't afford it, I'll probably do putt-putt in between. You know what I mean? Like I'm just finding something to fill that void. I don't think I'll ever stop doing stand-up. I just don't know if anybody will ever think this is good stand-up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what season of Undateable did you do Adam Devine's house
I think
party?
it was the first season.
So first season, and then he just got you. Funches was on the first season of Adam Devine's house party.
Funches and Brent did the first season. I think I was the second season.
Second season.
I think so.
And so you just got that because, I thought that was like a jump off point for people. You were already on a show though.
Yeah, I think kind of went backwards for me.
Did you pursue that or did?
Yeah, there was a Comedy Central audition that I went to for it. A lot of people, they do the clubs, open mics, they get passed at the clubs, they get an agent, they get a television show. Because I say my stand-up is a little weird, thankfully Bill Lawrence liked it, but it went show, then agent, then getting into the comedy clubs for me. It went backwards.
Yeah.
So jumping off point, no, not necessarily. It was my first TV taping. I also, to this day, I still don't know. Did I get it because I was on a television show? Did I get it because my set was funny? Did I get it because, Adam and I are friends? Who cares? But I do remember when I did it, it felt like, it didn't feel like, I never had nerves of my first TV tape. It was nervous to do it but it just felt like, oh, cool. I just felt like I'm doing something with my buddies. It was an unearned feeling. Adam and I are friends, and then we're friends, but it wasn't like we worked together ever. It was just like, but I had this weird false sense of security of like, fucking, this is awesome. Let's just do some fun, goofy stuff.
Wow.
That's Wonk. I found out today, actually. Didn't you guys, one of the producers?
Yeah, Wonk produced Adam Devine's house party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I should have probably said it.
Yeah. It was I've done, I think, 5 tapings, and that is the one that looks the coolest.
Yeah, all their sets, all of the house party sets are just fun and like inviting, especially if you're going up on stage. Because I auditioned to go be on stage, be one of the comedians, but they just
I didn't even know you did stand up.
I did stand up.
I didn't. That's crazy to me. How come I never see you out?
Have you never knew I did stand? I don't do it anymore that much.
No,
but
I never knew you did stand up.
I just do it in Orange County. I used to do it up here a little bit.
Oh,
yeah, I used to do stand up. Oh, while you're doing Undateable though, you were on the Rich Eisen podcast a bunch, right? The Rich Eisen show.
So I went on the Rich Eisen show, and I don't know much about football, and they saw my grandma, Grandma Gloria Glassman, on Instagram, and they posted some clips, and I said, let's get her on the phone. We called my grandma. She was so great. He said, come back whenever you want. When my grandma was in town a couple months later, we came on the show together. My grandma crushed. And since then, my grandma's on it. They call her something. I'm not even part of it. Sometimes. Still. She was on it last week. They just call my grandma sometimes. Or my grandma calls in and they just talk a little bit. It's awesome. And he's so nice. And he shouts out to her like, follow Friday at Gloria Glassman. I forgot the Twitter I made for her, something like that.
Yeah.
And when it comes up on the screen, it says, Grandma Gloria Glassman. That's what they call her. And she calls in and she talks to he's talking with John. He's talking with John Hamm about her. And like he's talking to all these people. And my grandma's just like killing it. It's really, really funny.
That's great.
Yeah.
Is she like a celebrity now?
At home, she's like a little local one. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's
That's
cool.
Very cool.
And my grandma feels great about it. It's so sweet and honest. It's like a cool thing that she's doing, and she's great on it. But it's like she talks about Rich Eisen every now and then, and how much she likes him, and she talks about she's proud. Like she talks about things that they talked about on the show, and it's cool seeing that from my grandma. It's cool seeing my grandma like something so much. My grandma likes, drinking martinis and watching the Browns. That's what my grandma likes.
Yeah.
I don't do either of those things. So I'm not connected to it.
No.
I love it. I love her. And we connected on other things, but like those are her passions, you know, vodka and football, sports in general, Cleveland sports. But now to see her have this like experience of like the show that she always loved before she was part of it.
The Rich Eisen show.
She's always loved the Rich Eisen show. And now she's part of it and she's funny on it and she's liked on it. And it's cool, like, in a selfish way, it's cool. Like I got my grandma on this thing, you know, like, and like my grandma said to me before, like, thank you for blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa, that feels really nice. Like I've gotten my grandma like shoes before, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, you take her to the airport or you pick her up. Like, what do you do for your grandma? You spend time with her or something. But like, I feel like I gave my grandma
like a little purpose.
Yeah.
And
Not that I did, but you know.
No, but like you were the gateway into that.
And, yeah, and she and I have had like a very specific that I don't even know if she's recognized connection through it even. Like I've noticed that I think my grandma thinks I'm funny. Like my grandma always loves me and she thinks, oh, ha ha ha, you know. But over the past few years, not coincidentally to the timing of her getting on the Rich Eisen show, she's like, I make my grandma laugh now, bro.
Yeah,
and it's real, but I think it's just like I don't know, it's opened something interesting to where like. Ricky, you're so funny. It's like, thanks, Grandma. Yeah. You never really, you know what I mean?
Well, she's getting stuff because of your comedy now.
Kind of, yeah, on a subconscious but sweet level still.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And she was good at fantasy football. Did she win? Did she beat Snoop?
Right. So we were on this celebrity fantasy football thing with a few people, and Snoop was she won a few weeks in a row. Every week you win, you get X dollars to go to a charity that she put out to some, I don't remember what it was, something in Cleveland for cancer research. I would love to give it a plug now so your listeners would send them some money. But just look up Cleveland cancer research. And yeah, and Snoop tweeted out and put on Instagram, like, I'm coming for you, Grandma Gloria Glassman. I thought that was so
my
cool.
Gosh.
Yeah. She was like a little
icon.
Yeah.
Little Cleveland icon.
Mm-hmm.
Undateable gets canceled.
What?
It got canceled.
Okay.
Right? What was that? What was it like taking that news in?
Every year we waited to the last minute, months and months before finding out if it got picked up or not. Every year we thought it's going to get canceled. I'm pretty good at mitigating expectations. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it wasn't. It was just like, it is what it is type of thing. Sincerely. So when I found out, I was like, oh, that's a bummer. But like, of course it is. You know? I mean, It's going to get canceled. All shows do. We never had a full season. It was always half seasons. So it's like, but I still had stand-up. And incidentally, through doing the Sixth Lead, I just discovered a new thing that I thought about that I decided this is what I want, which is directing. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just keep doing and making stuff. And incidentally, I've been, and it takes me a very long time. But that's what I want. So I kind of went more head on into writing outside of just writing for stand-up. And I still would love to be on a show, and I love acting, but it wasn't like, oh no. It was more like, and now I got to figure out how to do this other thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you had enough saved up that
I had money saved up, and I've been like, I do guest star shit here and there, and put some money in crypto, and
nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it sucks sometimes because there's like your days when you don't work, you work, 3 days, 4 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is. I did this movie, A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Uh-huh.
And it was like 2 months, and just you go in, you have to wake up early, and it's like, and then when you're not doing anything, it's like, I need to work. So it's an interesting dynamic of never being satisfied.
Yeah.
I want something to do, but I want to do it when I want to do it and my hours. My dad used to drive me to school at 8:30 and get home at 2, 3 in the morning. He owned and managed a few restaurants. He works crazy hours. My brother has some restaurants in LA. He works crazy hours. I don't have that work ethic. I do in a way where it's accidental. I play so much basketball. I love to write. I love to do comedy. I love to do stuff. But I don't think of it as like I have to do it. I'm lucky where I feel like, oh, I want to be practicing this. If I didn't, I don't know how I would force myself to do it. My brother and my dad are workhorses. I respect that so much. But fuck, man, I couldn't do that. I can't wake up at 8:30 to go in and do payroll.
Yeah. There's just different hardships with both because like you're constantly thinking about your craft.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I used to work in a factory and stuff, I would get there at whatever 7, leave at 5, but I'm not thinking about it before and I'm not thinking about it after. Whereas this, when I'm doing this job, I'm going to sleep thinking about it. I'm like dreaming about it. I'm like thinking about it constantly because it's on our own time.
Right.
So you're working for yourself.
Yeah, that could be dangerous sometimes.
That could be dangerous.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself a break. You got to give your mind a break.
I was saying you have to give yourself a routine. You have to make sure that you're not just doing what you want, you're doing what's best for you. Does that make sense?
As opposed when you're talking about work or just altogether?
Or lack thereof. But yeah, you're doing this podcast because you want to, right?
Yeah, and I do feel like it's necessary. I mean,
great.
Yeah.
What if you didn't want to do it, but you felt it was necessary?
I would still do it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's important to recognize when things are necessary. Sometimes that's tough. I don't want to do that. Who gives a shit? So then don't do it. Okay, that's the conversation I have with myself. I want to go do that. Well, maybe you shouldn't. But I want to like eating something. Maybe you shouldn't eat the donut at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I want it. Once I say I say to myself the thing that I want, and then the voice of reason goes, well, maybe not. Then the other guy goes, but I want it. And then the voice of reason goes, all right.
Yeah. And it's just dealing with regret. If I don't do this, I'm going to regret it. So let's do it right now.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever really regretted a donut.
Oh, you're fucking Superman over here, bro.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So when you were doing the futile and stupid gesture, did you learn a lot from David Wayne?
Man, yeah. See, I don't know if you could say, on my bulletin board, I had a piece of paper up there for years and years. Directors I want to work with. David Wayne and Edgar Wright were the only 2 people up there. And then the first movie I did was coincidentally David Wayne, which is so cool. I'm a huge fan of his. Yeah, I learned a lot from it. He was awesome. He did a Rubik's Cube super fast. We all met at his house before filming one time, and I saw him do this Rubik's Cube, and I was like, I got to learn how to do that. So I got a cube, and I was practicing it, and I got pretty good at the cube, and he would teach me. So on set, and it was like a cool way of connecting with him, which was an indirect, benefit from it, because through connecting with him, he let me shadow him and watch and ask questions. So, days I wasn't working, I would go in. Days when I was done, I would stay, and I would sit sit next to in the chair and ask. We would play with the Rubik's Cube, and he would show me tricks, and then I would just watch him do his stuff. And this isn't just a director. This is a guy that I'm does what I do, does what I like. He mastered it. Like, this is a guy that's like
his Wayne days are your 6th lead.
Thank you so much.
I know what it is.
And so it was just awesome. Yeah, so I learned a lot. I mean, also just being part of this story was very cool, talking about these comedy legends. If people probably don't know what it is, it's a movie on Netflix, Futile and Stupid Gesture. It's about the origins of the National Lampoon and the beginnings of Saturday Night Live and like Caddyshack and Animal House. And I played Harold Ramis. So there was all these comedians and actors playing these iconic people. So it was a really cool thing to be part of. And then to be a guy that I look up to, directing it to me be able to watch him how he does it. When I've already decided this is what I want to do, it was like the coolest experience. When we were done, I have this picture. It's in my room. This cartoon of a Wet Hot American Summer, and I brought it in like a fanboy, and I said, "Hey man, will you sign this?" And I have it framed, and it's like, I remember during the audition process. After I auditioned, he and I FaceTimed so he could talk to me about if I'm able to do that voice, and we went through the voice of what Harold Ramis would sound like. And while I'm FaceTiming with him, I'm looking at the other end is this poster, and when we were done FaceTiming, I'm like, I have to show you this. He goes, oh, I love that. I have that one too. And I was like, cool. And I'm thinking, I want you to sign it, but I didn't say that yet. And then it's like we did the movie, and then I brought it in, will you sign this?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you get the role?
So I found out about the movie. Allison Jones cast it, who is by far one of my favorite people in, I don't know if you say in, what do you say, in the industry? She's just been the kindest to me.
Yeah.
20% of my jobs have been through her.
Like straight, she'll contact you and be like, I think you're good for this part?
Yeah, well, she, come in on audition. And she's just gotten me great auditions, and she's so kind with me. And every casting director is different, but usually the way it works is you're auditioning for the casting director. So you want to do a good job for the casting director, and if you do, they send it off to the producers. Hopefully they like it, etc. But with Allison, she offers something interesting. Allison Jones offers this vibe where you're not auditioning for her, you're auditioning with her. She wants to show the producers the best thing possible. So you do it 1 time, 10 times, until she's like, yes, this is the one. Instead with the casting director, you go and you do it 1 or 2 times, and they think, nah, let's do it until we get it. So it's kind of collaborative in a way, to where we're not going to send this tape until it's ready, and she knows when it's ready. I don't know. I remember there's some auditions I've done a few times. There's one I did once, and she's like, that's it. And I go, you sure? She goes, trust me. It's like, and so she just makes you feel confident. Plus, she's a legend. She did the Golden Girls. She's been doing this she did Fresh Prince. She did, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Superbad, The Office. I mean, this is one, like one of the main people. So I sent her an email of a picture of me next to Harold Ramis, showing how much we look alike. And when I came in, and that was another thing I said to her, because as a joke, I said, don't bring in anyone else for Harold Ramis. And she said, I won't. So they only showed them me, which is really nice.
That's great. Which
I've realized the only way I'm going to book a job is if they don't show anybody else.
Yeah.
Just please don't show them anybody else.
Just burn the tapes.
Yeah.
What did you learn in preparing for the role of Harold Ramis? Like, how did you encapsulate him?
So it was the first time I've ever done something to where my choices that I made weren't choices that I have a right to make until they're earned. I'm not playing me. I'm not playing something I'm making up. Even when I was going through the audition process, there was a few auditions. I met with 3 different vocal coaches. I never done that before. I'm doing vocal exercises. I'm not great at that kind of stuff. I'm reading interviews, watching interviews. I was introduced to Violet Ramis, Harold Ramis' daughter. A friend of mine is friends with her, and we talked on the phone. Incidentally, we've become friendly. She just had a book that came out called Ghostbusters' Daughter. I believe it's called something like that. Mm-hmm. And she told me all these personal stories about him, and it was like, I felt like I was doing research. It felt cool. It felt like, oh, this is what acting I think probably is. Like research.
Yeah.
And it felt cool because when on set, like certain choices that you could question, is that right or wrong? Whether I'm doing it well or not, I don't know. But like there was an intention behind it that I felt was earned and right. So I felt comfortable of like, this is the way you're supposed to do it. Who knows if I'm right? And then any direction you get, you listen to it. But it was cool, like coming in with people that I look up to that I know that don't know me. And I felt like I'm supposed to be here. I liked the feeling I had of confidence that I'm supposed to be here. I don't feel that way all the time.
Was it like
especially
being
with
on the
stand-up?
Was like being on the basketball court?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
A goal. You knew your goal.
Yeah. Incidentally, stand-up, something I've been doing way longer than acting, feels like basketball before I had a left hand. I remember in 10th grade doing layup lines. In the right hand, you go, and then the left hand. And the left one, I didn't want to look to see if I made it because then it looks weird. So I would ask the guy in front of me once I get into the opposite line, did that go in? And just like that feeling of like, oh, I hope I make this layup. It's a fucking layup. I hope I make this layup. Versus like, throwing it home.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's just how you feel. Confidence is such an interesting, you have it or you don't. And it's all made up. It's literally just looking at something and saying, I see it this way instead of this way. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You could go to sleep. That thing is still there. Just how do I see it right now when I'm awake?
Yeah. Situation's the same. It's you that's changed.
Say that in more like a
situation has changed. Yeah. It's you that changed. Situation has changed. It's the situation. The situation is the same.
Situation's the same.
Let me say it.
Yeah.
See that? Let me say it. The situation is the same. It's you that changed.
Try not saying the. Just situation's the same.
The situation's the situation's the same.
Situation's the same. It's you that changed.
The situation's the same. Situation's the same. It's you that changed.
Yeah, but get it better.
Situation has changed. It's you that changed.
Oh man, you said change twice.
Situation the same. It's you that changed.
Kinda. You want me to show you what I mean?
Let's hear it.
Situations has changed. It's you.
You said that too.
Let me try it again. Situation's the same. It's you that's changed.
It lets you use.
Yeah.
This has been Rick Glassman.
Still is, man. That's a thing for when comics get off stage. Thank you so much. I've been John Balls. Oh, you've been John Balls? You're not John Balls anymore, bro?
No, because you just experienced Rick Glassman.
All right, I'm wrong in that situation then. That makes sense.
Yeah, Hey, guys, this has been Rick Glassman. It's been
Still is weird. That's Rick Glassman. That has been.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, Wonk family. As always, like and subscribe. And if you got any questions or you have a guest you want me to talk to, let me know. Put it in the comments. Let's talk. Let's talk about it.
Wonk.